Hello children, today's session is about functions or methods. That is your chapter 2. We have been discussing the state and behavior of an object of a class, isn't it, in first chapter. So the state is defined by the instance variables of a class, while behavior is defined by the methods or functions of a class. So in this chapter, we are going to learn how to define functions or methods in a class and how to call them using objects of the class. We'll see a practical example of why we need functions. So imagine a juicer 1 is used to make apple juice and a juicer 2 is used to make orange juice. So don't you think it is inconvenient? This is simply a wastage of resource. Using two juices may be difficult to handle as well as acquire more space in your kitchen and is not at all cost effective. So when a single juicer is sufficient to produce juice of different kinds of fruits, then why we need to use different juices for various fruits? So the process can be simplified by using a single juicer as shown in the figure. So you may come across similar circumstances in Java programming where similar tasks are to be performed multiple times at different instances just by changing the input values. So here input values were apples and oranges and processing happened with a juicer and you get different outputs. The processor or the function was same and when different inputs are given you get different outputs. Same way we are going to deal with the functions. Need for methods or functions. So now we will see why we need methods or functions. First point, they make the function modular, that is, divide the program into smaller units called modules or functions, hence making the program easy to debug and maintain. A software will not be a small program like you do now. It is very big. So division of programs is must for its effective development. Second point, they make the error detection easier. That is, whenever an error is reported in the program, they only need to debug the function in which the error has occurred rather than the whole program. Third point, it acts like a black box as it hides the details of how the problem is getting solved from the user. That is, the user simply calls a function by its name and gets a problem solved. Fourth point, it helps reducing the code redundancy. That is, once a function is defined in a program, it can be called anywhere and reused any number of times in the program to solve a specific problem. For example, if a function is developed to add two numbers, the same function can be called or used any number of times if it is required, if it is needed for other programs. Next point, use of function ensures better memory management because they are called whenever they are required and after the use they free the memory location that they were using. So the values holded by the variables are freed up once the function is called. Next is programs developed by using different functions can be easily updated as updation of one program does not affect the other functions. Updation of one function does not affect the other functions. Next point, it provides a scalability, that is, you can scale the program easily assigning the functions to different developers. So a program can be easily divided among a team. Definition of a function or a method. A function or a method is a subprogram within a main program which processes data and returns a value. you write always the function inside the class. So that is why it is called as a subprogram, which we write inside a main program. And each function processes some data and it returns a value. Next, syntax of a function or a method. Access specifier, static, return type, method name, inside the brackets, formal parameters, then block of the function starts, then statements of the function, then block of the function closes. So access specifier, static, return type, method name, formal parameters. So when you write, always like after a class you write public static void main. So here access specifier, in that access specifier is public, then you write the keyword static, then return type is void, then you write the method name, that is main. So that is main function that we write for each and every program. Explanation of the function syntax in detail. First point, access specifier. Access specifier can be private, public or protected. So far you were only writing public, so it can be even private as well as protected too. It determines the amount of access the function has been given by the rest of the program, and this you will understand when we will deal with the programs. And default access specifier is public. That means whenever you are not including any access specifier, the compiler itself will give by default the access specifier as public. Next term is static. So static is a keyword, and function can be called without creating an object. That means whenever you are using static keyword, that particular function can be called without creating an object. And if a function is non-static, then the object is needed. Object should be created for calling that function. Next is return type. It is the data type of the data which is returned by the function. A function can return or cannot return a data. So whatever the function is returned, the return type will be the data type of the returned value. For example, if you are adding two numbers and those two numbers are integers, then of course after adding two integers you get the answer in integer. So that function will be returning an integer value. And if you are adding to float, then your result will be in float. So that particular function will be returning the answer which is a float value. So its return type will be float. And suppose if a function does not return any value, then void is given. Instead of int or float, we have to mention void. Next is function name. So name of the function. So you can give any name relevant to the function, and it follows the same rule that of an identifier. So you know what are the basic rules that you should follow while you are naming a class, naming a variable and all. Same way, same rules you have to follow for naming the function also. Next is parenthesis. The brackets given after the function name is parenthesis. So inside that parenthesis we include formal parameters. Next is formal parameters. Formal parameters are used to accept data of any data type and process it to give the required output. A function can exist with or without parameters. Next is method block. So the statements lies within the block, that is known as the method block. The scope of the parameter lies within the block. That is, if any parameters are defined as formal parameters or inside the method, then the scope means the life of the variables is only within the block of the method. A function signature or definition or header. Signature is basically identification of a person. Similarly, method signature is the identification of a method. A method signature is written by using the method name along with the parameters to be passed to the method. For example, public static int add of int x comma int y. So this is a header of a function. It is also called as signature or definition. That is the header of the function without a body. That is a function signature or definition or a header. Next example, void sum. This is again a function signature or definition or a header. Types of functions in general. In general, functions are divided into two. They are predefined and user defined. So predefined functions are already known to you. It is the math class functions, that is math.square root, math.cube-root, etc. So these are the functions which is developed by the Java developers or programmers, and it is pre-written or predefined. So that is predefined function. And user defined functions are sum, add, int a, comma, int b, etc. So these are the functions which we defined or the user defined for the programs. Here is a small example for function. So class funct int a is equal to 100, b is equal to 200, int c, and the first function is public void add. It is to find out the addition of a and b. So c is equal to a plus b. So system.out.println, the sum is equal to plus c. Your second function is void public void sub, find out the difference. So c is equal to a minus b, system.out.println, the difference is equal to plus c. Then public void pro, to find out the product of numbers. So c is equal to a into b, system.out.println, the product is equal to plus c. Now we will run and see this program. Compile, class compile, no syntax errors. Minimize the screen, right click. Here you have noticed that void main is not displayed. So you have to click on the new function. So here you have seen that it is creating an object. So name of the instance, name of the object, either you can select the same funct1 or you can write your own function. So any name, then give OK. So here you have noticed that an instance is created or object is created. You have to right click on the object, then like whichever function you want, you can just directly select from that. So click on the void add. So the answer is sum is equal to 300. You had given 100 and 200. So addition of 100 and 200, your answer is 300. Now we'll see for the next function. Right click, I'm going to find out the subtraction. So void sub, now the difference is equal to minus 100. That is the answer for subtraction. And next I'm going to find out the product of numbers. So select void pro. So the product is equal to 20,000. So that is the answer. So this is the way you are going to run the program using the functions. A brief description of function or methods are explained in this video today. So please go through the video twice or thrice to be more clear with the topics. Thank you.